Hello, everybody. This is a new project that I'm working on that I just would like to talk about. So this project is a recreation of Tears of the Kingdom's movement and camera systems. This is just something I wanted to do. This might turn into a game, and if it does, I'll definitely change some things based on how the game pans out. I'd love to make a Zelda-like title. That'd be awesome, but yeah, let's just get into what I have so far. Oh yeah, ignore the Among Us. One of my friends just thought it was funny, so I did that. But, alright, so let's get started with basic movement. So, in Tears of the Kingdom, I will show you I'll probably have a thing on screen as I'm doing this. But when you move in Tears, you turn before you move. So it's based on, the controller. And then once you've turned enough, you actually start moving. You can tell there's some deceleration on here. I don't really have much acceleration on this, which I might change, I might not. But yeah, you turn before you move. That's a very small detail. Now, there's a difference. In mine, you can see here when I'm just moving the guy like this, he never actually moves, and that's because in the code I have it set to like a target rotation than the actual rotation. If your actual rotation isn't within the target, then it doesn't let you move. But since you're always changing the target when you're standing still, it never lets you actually move. Obviously, if you do this, then it starts working. But it is a little bit different. This recreation isn't perfect. I am doing my best, and I just finished the camera. So anyway, that is basic movement. So now let's get into some of the camera stuff. So number one, your direction is separate from the camera, but your forward direction is relative to the camera. So if I'm just holding up on the joystick and I move the camera right or left, you can see that the camera moves the player rather than the player just moving the camera. And then let's do the next thing. We'll do Z targeting next. Actually, yeah, we'll do Z targeting next. So the Z targeting is just based on which direction that the player is facing. And then you hit left trigger, and then it zooms to that. I had to make it so it chose the smallest or the shortest route. Surprisingly, that did not do it by itself, so I had to code that in, but it works pretty flawlessly. And I can change the value, like if I want the default value to not be looking down so much, I can change that to pretty much whatever, but I think this is a good one. It also locks your player rotation, so your player rotation does not change, and it is still camera independent. So you can still move around in a circle. It's kind of hard to see, but I can move around all like this without it really affecting the camera itself. So yeah, that's Z targeting. It is a bit different. I don't have it so it changes your movement speed depending on which direction you're going, like it is in Tears. But yeah, that's something. Next, let's get into the main camera itself. So the camera in Tears, this is the most different, just because it's a lot. This is what's taken the most amount of time. I've probably spent around 12, maybe 15 hours trying to get this working as close as it is now, and it's still not great. So first, let's get into the rotation of the camera. This was pretty easy. This is just Cinemachine with the free look camera and then the three rigs, and I have them set up. There is some work that I like to do. As you can see, this is like kind of the default, and then as you move up, it puts you at this top thing here, so you're like right above the player. And then as you move down and then inside and you look up. Now in Tears it has, I'm assuming, a shader on Link's model, so he starts fading out when that happens, but obviously I don't have that yet, so you still have to deal with the pointers. So yeah, I have that. As you can see here on the difference between the arc that the camera travels and here to here, I'm assuming what's happening in Tears, if they use a 3-rig system, I don't know, but what I would do to remedy that is as you are in this would be the middle rig, as you move up, the radius on this top one, you can see the radius is pretty small. The radius on the top one would actually be bigger, and it would get smaller as you move upwards, and that would change the arc of this. So that's probably my best bet. And then this is a bit different, but I think that's a lot less noticeable than just the arc here. So now let's get into the weeds of the camera. This is the big guy. This is the most annoying thing. This is what's taken the longest. So let's get into the first little feature of the camera. So if we go over here and we just get barely close to the wall, the camera moves forward. Now in tiers, it is a lot slower. I would like to change the formula for how the speed is calculated, because I think it should be a lot better, because it's kind of like a blanket speed. You see it was a little faster as I got closer, but it's not like, it should be like barely fast when it's like that, but it's pretty quick still. But yeah, as you get close to an object that you can collide with the camera, it moves it forward to adjust. So that's the first feature. The second feature would be this clipping here. So whenever Link is obstructed or the player is obstructed, it moves the camera to the minimum viable distance, and then it goes from there. You can see as I move here. Now I will say my version is not 100% working. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and it's pretty much on this corner specifically. Sometimes if I move the camera, I kind of get in this position here, and I move the camera. Sometimes it does that, and then when you move a little bit more, it fixes itself. I'm not sure why that is. I'm really not. I'm assuming it's just two of my flags being true at once, but I just went through and tried to make them so they're kind of independent of each other, and they can only be happening if one is true or false to the other, but it wasn't working out. Next thing, this I kind of just did because it feels better. I'm not sure if Tiers actually does this. But if we go over here and we're against this wall, it isn't perfect. I will say it's not perfect, but as you're on this wall, your rotation or the radius of the middle rig is locked. So I can't actually start rotating until a certain variable is set, and that variable here is a line that is being drawn from the camera to the player. In fact, it would be a lot better to show you on the build what's going on, so we can do that. So if we look here, we just do that, and we'll drag this over. All right, so let's get into the weeds. So this red line here is a raycast being drawn from the player towards the camera, and if it is colliding with something, it has a Boolean set of true. You can see it very faintly. It continues into the wall there. So yeah, whenever that's true, your radius is locked, and if you look at the radius itself, that is this ring here, you can see it is not increasing until just about there, then it starts increasing. That is just to make sure you don't it was causing issues. Basically what would happen is the camera would go here and then go back and then move itself forward and then rotate a bit more and then go back and then move itself forward, and it looked awful. So I added a little rotation lock to kind of counteract that. I think it looks pretty good. I think it's a little jarring there particularly. I think there needs to be some acceleration time for the cameras being able to be adjusted, but I say it works pretty well. And to show you guys how it detects if it's touching something just slightly, I have a collider here that tracks the player, and it keeps track of everything, and if that collider is obstructed, there's a little thing here, intersection percentage. Percentage is based on how much of the other object is inside of this object, and if it doesn't equal 0, it does that. And then the speed at which it moves the camera forward is based on this percentage, but it's still really fast, so I'm not super sure. I need to fix that, but yeah. So that's that. I think that's everything. The only feature I haven't fully gotten working, which I probably should have done before I started recording, but In tiers, you can put the camera behind objects, and on mine you kind of can't. And I could originally, but I had to switch things up. But yeah, that should be pretty easy to do. I think what I would do is I would just go in here, and any scenery objects I wanted in the game, I could just have on like a different layer or a tag, and have the code that deals with like this collider and the raycast just ignore that tag. So the camera would be fully able to go around it. However, that isn't the case in tiers. Sometimes if you do stuff like this, where if you'd go on the other side, which I actually can't show you, if you put the camera on the other side of this, and then you started looking down, like where it would go inside Link, it would get to about here, and then the raycast would kick in, and it would put the camera here instead, which I'm sure I'll have footage of that showing right now. It's definitely something. That's behavior that's definitely going to be interesting, and honestly, maybe even wouldn't even bother. I could probably just have like a shader that shows up where, like on all the scenery objects, just to cut time, but where it like adds like an effect or something as you go through it. I don't know, but yeah, this is what I have so far. This is all 2 scripts. All the big code, all the big boy code is in the camera controller, and then the movement is all on this guy. It's not perfect, it's not amazing, but I think it works pretty well, and I'm probably going to work on some more refinement probably as soon as this video goes up, but I'm going to do that, and then maybe I'll start actually adding more features of this and make it into something, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you want to see my other projects, they are on the channel. And if you, I don't know, like and subscribe. And yeah, thank you.